Hey, come on, can't anybody else wear a mask?
Sure, I can go put one on.
Yay! Thank you. Sarah, what's the picture behind you?
So that is a great picture that Andrea Moore brought over to the State House to show me one day in February. It is a picture from, I think, 1947 of, and the title of the picture is Ladies of the Legislature. It's it's all of the women House members and senators from that year. And there's a lot of women in the picture, including Andrea's great-grandmother, who I think is one of these people right here. There were so many women serving then, not only because it was wartime, but also because this was before the House was redistricted from 254 members down to 150. So there were just more, more seats available and many being occupied by women. So it's kind of a cool picture.
Yeah, that is cool. Awesome. Does anybody have any additions to the agenda? Cool. Gary, do you want to start us off with emergency management?
Nothing new. The food distribution yesterday up at Blue Mountain went pretty well. They've switched to making appointments, so you don't have those long lines stretched out with appointments every 15 minutes, and that seemed to work pretty well. Unfortunately, it wasn't held at Bradford like it was supposed to be, but seeing how they didn't reach out to us at all, just let us know. And then when I immediately contacted Glenn Herron back Thursday night after he said Bradford area, I said Oxbow, and he said the sheriff was trying to make contact. Well, I said, if you'd have let me or Ted do, we would have made the contact. But anyways, it ended up at the AOT garage. It just wasn't as easy as it would have been with a big parking lot at Oxbow. Hopefully they'll learn from that about contacting the locals beforehand.
Yep. All right, thanks, Gary.
I don't know if you listened to this morning, well, still on, but he said that the schools would be able to open in September, etc. So at least maybe we can begin planning for the schools.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
That's all I've got.
Awesome. I don't think I have too much in communications. I guess the only thing is that we had gotten a list of like 6 people, 60 plus, so the volunteers were going to work on that. The person I was hoping to kind of take point on that is not able to. So we're going to figure that out. So we'll figure it out this week and get those going. But volunteer coordination, we had a call on Friday with everybody. That's been going really well, and I think at this point there's like kind of a core of volunteer like leads and stuff and volunteers that have been engaging with each other, and we're just kind of commenting that if nothing else out of all of this, everybody's starting to learn the different resources that are available to people in town to be able to like help their neighbors and stuff. So if nothing else, that's nice. Like learning about the food shelf and learning about Council of Aging and the senior center and that kind of stuff. Which people just weren't aware of before. So let's see, town, state government, Ryan?
Not a lot of new stuff as far as I know. We'll have a select board meeting tomorrow at 6:30. But no, I don't think there's any new happenings.
Well, Ted, do you have anything to add, or Carol?
Yeah, just real quickly, we are in the process of reopening the DA building. I don't know exactly what the hours of the town clerk and treasurer office is, but the building is now open to the public. The auditorium and the gym remain closed, and I don't have a projected ever so slowly inching our way back toward normal, whatever normal might mean.
Cool. And I assume, I just seen, sorry, I see your hand. People on Facebook have been asking about the park, and I'm assuming like you can't do that until the state gives some kind of guidance on that, right? Like that's basically what we've been telling people.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
that is correct. We would love to be able to
Yeah.
open up the park. I mean, here it is summertime, kids want to play at the park. But until we get some better guidance from the state, we just, there's just, as I think I mentioned at last week's meeting, you just can't keep kids when they're crawling around that castle, Elizabeth Park. You can't keep them 6 feet apart, and there's just no way to disinfect that giant structure.
Yeah,
So
no, that makes total sense. Cool. Sarah?
I'm just wondering.
Hold on, Gail.
It's open.
Okay. Hold on a second. Sarah had raised her hand.
Yeah, sorry to jump in line, and I do have to go because I have to prep for a floor report this afternoon and get some lunch first. But one state update that I would like to share, and one local one. My committee just got a bill sent over from the Senate that contains some COVID relief funds to send out to municipalities. And I don't know, we haven't dove into the details of it yet because we have another major bill that we're finishing up first, but on Thursday in committee, we should be diving into the details of that. And I guess the main question that we have about the bill is this using COVID relief fund money where FEMA money could be used? And is there anything that we need to do to help expedite the funds to get out into the communities for things that are rightfully needing to be covered? So I will be happy to share some of the details with folks if you want to know what's contained in that bill. And so stay tuned on that. And then the one local thing that I had seen noted on the agenda, that many of you are aware that there's a young mom who was burned out of her Bradford Village apartments back in April. We are limping along with asking volunteers to help pay for a night or 2 or 3 at the motel where she's staying. But I gotta say that I'm feeling like I'm kind of tapped out in terms of the number of volunteers I can find to help pay for the $84 a night. And so I'm sort of getting desperate to try to figure out ways to keep her from becoming homeless at this moment. The idea that we have at this moment is to look for the loan or donation of a camper for her and the kids to stay at a campground, because it looks like they may be able to get back into their apartment by mid-July. But I can't fathom being able to find donors for $84 a night to keep her there until mid-July. And it's also getting pretty old for her and 3 little kids to be staying in a motel where they don't really have a way to get outside and play and be rambunctious as kids need to be. So if anybody has any connections for a camper that they might be able to use, I think we've located a campground who would be willing to let her stay there. We just don't have access to a camper or any other ideas. So thank you in advance. If
Sarah,
you can help.
is the owners of the property, are they still being unresponsive as far as the date they'll have it repaired?
They have now been responsive, and to the extent that they have said that she could be back in there by the 1st or 2nd week of July. But I'm not getting a lot of warm, fuzzy feelings, and so I'm not sure I would take that to the bank.
They have not returned either my calls or my emails, and that's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Not very responsive, at least from my end.
Legal aid is on top of the legal end of things, and they've been communicating, and it was through them that we were able to get the management of the apartments to say that she could be back in by the 1st or 2nd week of July. But like I said, I don't know how much we can rely on that.
Right.
I think, Sarah. Gail, you had a question for Ted?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. I couldn't find the hand to raise, but
That's okay.
I found it. I was wondering, what does that look like, Ted, for the office to be open? I mean, how are people using it, or what's the protocol for that?
Well, previously, if people had business, they would either, like let's say a license application or something like that, they'd leave that in a box, which would be checked regularly. And if they needed access to the vault, they would contact Sonia. Sonia would generally do the research for them and photocopy the documents they needed. And so now there's, it's just one person at a time, but the office is actually open.
And so people are calling?
I do believe so. I actually haven't had a chance to check with the folks in the office to see how much walk-in business they're getting.
Okay,
But the office, yes.
People call the library and ask about that stuff, so I just want to know if I should be sending them or not. Okay.
I can double check with Sonia and Jen and see where things stand with that.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Let's see. Food access, Ashleen?
Hi. Yeah, I don't really have much more about food access right now.
Okay, no problem. Anybody else on food? Yeah, go ahead, Carol.
In talking with Vicki earlier this week, one of the things that she's noting right now, and it may be that this will change, but that some of the people who were getting Meals on Wheels have decided that they have access to other food sources, or they're able to get out now. So she's seeing a slight, not a large, but a slight decrease in the number of people who are on Meals on Wheels.
It sounds positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I do know, so something that came out of kind of we have that multi-town call every other Wednesday. And so something that came up in that call was that, or not in the call, but in the email, the calls tonight, was that Fairleigh was wondering, because Fairleigh has some food resources, and Corinth has been doing Growing Peace project has been doing meal prep, and the Newbury had the drop off on Monday. There's no place for people kind of if you're in Fairleigh to say what is Bradford doing, what is Corinth doing, what can I go to Thetford and get some food if Corinth isn't doing something one night, and if you're in Bradford, can you go to Newbury? So trying to figure out, because Upper Valley Strong is doing a thing where you can go town by town and see what's when the food shelves are open and things like that. But there's no kind of ongoing, when can you get fresh food or produce type thing for the local towns, other than getting the state emergency kind of updates on the MREs. So we're just trying to figure that out, I guess, as an option, but something that's being discussed. If anybody has ideas. Let's see. Ryan, is there any updates from Hannaford at all on food, or is everything getting back to normal?
Yeah, everything seems to be holding steady. We're just seeing a lot of trends of customers coming in without masks and bringing their entire families and stuff. But the company has made a statement where they will not be enforcing masks or shopper limits anytime in the future. So, yeah, there's not much we can do there.
Okay. Let's see. Medical, Ayla?
Hey, yeah, not a whole lot, just a few things. The East Corinth Little Rivers is opening back up this week to 5 days, Monday through Friday. We've seen a quite a significant decrease in our COVID testing. So we're switching our days to the Wells River Clinic just Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, unless otherwise needed or indicated. We are reeling back from doing outside testing for other providers for referrals. So we're just focusing on Little Rivers patients for now, or anybody who's interested in becoming a Little Rivers patient. And I think that's pretty much, yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up.
Cool. Michael or Ashleen, do you guys have anything to add?
No updates from me.
Okay. Let's see, business, financial. Aaron?
Don't have anything that I can think of.
Okay. Marvin or Patty, do you have anything to add?
Just oh, sorry. Go ahead, Marvin.
Well, you go ahead first.
Okay, I was just going to say, as far as the PPP loans, the forgiveness applications are starting. We're trying to work on a process. So as soon as we get a solid process going for the loan forgiveness, we'll be reaching out to all of the customers who are able to access that program. And our lobby is open, and people are coming in with masks, so that's nice.
Cool.
Does anybody know of any businesses that are, you know, in financial, you know, trouble, couldn't get PPP, you know, something that, and they're not getting help from, you know, banks and things? I mean, I don't know I mean, there are restaurants still closed, like Chan's House. I mean, did anybody happen to connect with anybody at Chan's House to see whether they had any plans there? What the story there is?
I talked to one of the family members. This is Nancy.
Yeah.
And she said that they were closed because they didn't have enough help.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All right.
One thing that I haven't dug into it yet, but I just got an email. So there was Sarah and I have like been on calls with other chambers of kind of East Central Vermont, talking about ways that we could collaborate together, since we're all part of the same economic development district. And so it looks like there's some state money to do buy local campaigns. So I guess she's kind of catching up with everybody first to see what people think. But that might mean something for Bradford. Let's see.
Does anybody have an idea of the unemployment rate in this area? And are there major employers who don't have people at work right now? I mean, is Upper Valley Press, Copeland's, I mean, are those employers all cooking? Or, I mean, I don't really have a sense of what's really shut down, other than the hospitality.
I know Copeland's is back up to full or almost full capacity, because we were employing a number of their workers on a temporary basis, but they've all been recalled and reinstated to full time.
Yeah, Tim was on a call like last week and said that they saw a dip like right when COVID, and then for a couple of weeks, but they are getting back up to capacity, and it seems pretty positive for them. I mean, obviously there's a huge hit, but they're getting back. So.
Okay.
I understand Upper Valley Floors is back to full strength. They got a lot of work and their people are back. They employ quite a few people.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, Marvin, is this something we could, I don't know if Ruth Ann can collected that type of stuff with her survey to members, but I don't know who else would have that information.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, you hear nationally, you know, there are issues with people not going back to work because they're making more between their unemployment and the federal unemployment money ends in July, is it? Or is that, do you know how long that money's available? The 600.
July.
Is it July?
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, is childcare still a big issue here? Do people know? I mean, are the childcare providers all open in providing services? Do you know that, Bruce?
Nope, you're muted. He was asking about childcare centers, if we know if they're open.
Well, there's one open right now, and has been all along, right on, Route 5 there. There are no other child care centers open in the schools, but there normally aren't anyway. There is going to be, if the enrollment jumps up a little bit, there is going to be a summer child care program run by the Newberry After School program at the Newberry Elementary School. It's a pretty limited program, 20 students, running in July and the first week of August. In a way, it's kind of an experiment to get ourselves ready for a full-scale opening. but that's the only childcare during the summer. Rec programs typically run programs, and they're not doing that.
Yeah, Marvin, I would say anecdotally, I've talked to some business owners, and the two big things is recalling people because they're making more on unemployment than they would be typically, and the second thing is finding a place for their kids. You know, workers who have kids that are, you know, probably under 12 or 13 are having a hard time. So it's either a spouse or a parent that can take them. Otherwise, you know, some of the production facilities are having a hard time getting people back. And that's not specific to Bradford, I guess.
Well, they shouldn't be getting the extra unemployment if they have a job that's available to them. I believe that that's how the rules of that work.
Well, and yeah, and I mean, I'm not sure exactly how that works. I mean, if your employer calls you back, I mean, I don't know what the litmus test is for that in terms of how that's reported to unemployment.
I just did put a link to regarding the childcare. Thetford is kind of talking about childcare and subsidies available to people and childcare places that are looking for help. But so they Mike Key sent a link to subsidies from the state of Vermont to help with paying for childcare if you find anybody that's helpful for. Let's see, Carol, support for seniors.
Yeah, I checked more with Connie about the issue for the tax preparation, and they've done as much as possible over the phone. So these are going to be very short visits for people to come in and just basically sign the papers and apply for their refunds. It does look like that we're going to need to use the space on Main. I talked with Dale this morning, and while they're working on guidance for adult day programs and senior centers for reopening, it's really hard, and they haven't come up with anything yet, so they're all still closed.
Yeah, that's no problem, Carol.
Yeah. I'm one of the volunteers for that, and we're doing them at Tenny also starting next week. So I don't in Newbury. So I don't know how many will. I mean, Connie's she's the one scheduling all the people and things. So we'll see.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see, Bruce. Schools.
So the community votes are well, the community informational session is coming up on the 23rd, and the vote on the unified school budget is on the 30th, as you probably all know. The only other thing, I didn't jump in on the food piece, but we are, as I think you all know, we are continuing the food program out of Bradford Elementary School for the communities of Newbury and Bradford. They are also taking on the Blue Mountain communities, and Thetford continues on. Waits River has its own program for its two communities, and this program is for any child 1 through 18. So again, if you ever run into somebody that hasn't been aware of this program, you know, we will continue to deliver the food out into the communities using the Butler school bus process. We're combining some bus runs so to save a little money, because as we head into the summer, there's a little bit more cost, obviously, because we don't normally run buses during the summer. But we will continue that, and across the 6 communities of the SU, we're delivering in the neighborhood of 2,000 meals a day. So it's a pretty massive program and has been well received, and I think it's done a lot of good. So that will continue through the summer, through the first 2 weeks of August. We'll shut it down for the last 2 weeks of August just to give those people a break, because it's quite an enterprise.
Well, thanks, Bruce. Marvin?
Bruce, a question for you. I know that the board has opted to put the provision 2 back into the budget for $195,000 to provide breakfast and lunches for all 3 schools without kids paying for it. I also know that there's approximately somewhere in the $50,000 a year normal range for deficits in the lunch programs between Oxbow, Bradford Elementary, and Newbury Elementary.
Yep.
So does that mean it's really only kind of a net $145,000 nut in the budget, or I'm just not clear on that. I mean, is that
Well, I mean,
190,000 going to cover all the cost of those meals?
so the 195 is an estimate. It's a little difficult to be 100% certain about what that cost is going to be. We did our absolute best to do due diligence and figure that out. But assuming that 195 hits the button, then yes, the answer to your question would be yes, it would be net. In other words, there wouldn't be any other deficit. That said, I can't guarantee, no one can guarantee that it'd be 195 exactly. That's our best estimate based on everything that we know at this time. Does that help?
Thank you.
Marvin, do you want to share anything about the potential for the forum, or wait?
Sure. Well, we're gonna, some of us are gonna be at the 5 o'clock tonight is an OU SSD Zoom meeting, which if you didn't get a contact information for it, I guess you could check with Monique and she could share it with you. But that's on the agenda is some information about the meeting, I think coming up on the 23rd, and the vote on the 30th. But we think that it's very important because these ballots are going to be in our mailboxes this week. And we in Newbury have 3 candidates for the 1-year new board position. Bradford only has 1 candidate, as I understand it, for their new position, in addition to an incumbent running again. But we think that it's important that there be that the candidates have a chance to let people know who they are and what they stand for. So we have a little group together that is going to talk to the request from the board tonight, a Monday, the whatever date that is, 15th,
yeah.
For candidate forum by Zoom. And we're willing to sponsor it and do it all, but we're going to offer, we're going to ask the board if they want to take charge of that too. So that's going to be on the docket tonight. But one way or the other, it's going to happen on Monday, the 15th of June, to give the candidates a chance to express themselves a little bit. And I also understand that we've been in touch with Alex at the JO, and they're working on something for the paper on the 17th with the candidates in it too.
Cool. And Jean Wheeler emailed and just said that I don't know if you guys saw, like, the Bradford Elementary School did like a parade. Was that yesterday? Of like all the teachers? Yeah, yesterday. Yeah. So that was cool. And I guess there's a Oxbow parade on Friday night. So she was saying if any business owners want to partake in making, or people who live on Main Street and stuff want to partake in adorning everything with purple, that would be awesome. So if anybody's into that. Gail, did you have anything?
I'm handing in a proposal for limited reopening, hopefully maybe even as soon as next week. And I have a lot of people calling. A lot of kids are taking advantage of curbside more and more, which is a pretty big process, really, curbside. And I'm putting out, so anyway, we'll wait and see what the board says about approving my plan. And I'd like to be able to open up offer the cups, computer use limited, and I have a bunch of summer reading program stuff going out for kids, and so I'll have more updates. I'll have that laid out for you next week, and it'll be all over the listservs and everything. So it's pretty cool. It's coming together.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Let's see. Churches, Carol?
Some of the churches have already opened. Conference is advising the UCC churches not to open until August 1st, which seems like a long time, but that's what they're suggesting. And that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's see. I don't see Marcy on, but Ramsey, or I guess I don't see Linda either. So Ramsey.
Linda is taking a long deserved day off today.
All right, good.
Although she was working this morning when she wasn't supposed to be. I don't really have anything. We keep hearing that there's going to be COVID related money for housing. We don't know what that looks like yet. We are hoping in our continuum of care group that talks about housing in our economic services district that we're talking about a lot of alternative ideas about housing, because there's going to be a great need of it when hotel stays have to end. People in hotel stays now paid for by the state are being required to work actively with someone on their housing case. So if they're in the Bradford area, that's me, mostly me. Some of them are had been working with Upper Valley Haven, so they may still connect with them if that's a better relationship for them because they already had it. We're hoping to connect with landlords maybe that we don't know about. I feel like I probably know about most of the landlords in the Bradford area, but I guess that sort of changes from time to time. And so if you know landlords who are willing to work with people, there may be a lot more vouchers available for Section 8 type housing assistance. So we're just, there's a great number of people in need of housing. I'd say a bigger number of people looking for like 1 bedrooms or efficiencies, and less family 2 and 3 bedrooms, but there are some that we're looking for. So but we don't know exactly what else is available for as far as money goes. My fiscal year ends at the end of June, so I have more prevention money, which can help potentially with people who were out of work, so they have back rent they owe. But in order to help people, typically speaking, unless there's different rules for the COVID related money, people have to have a notice to quit in order to, or be doubled up or things like that in order to qualify for financial help through us. But if they have any question about that, they should call me. One other thing I just wanted to mention, I've worked with Danielle Drown from Clara Martin Center for quite a long time, and she, I don't know if you're all aware, probably some of you are, but usually in the fall, she spearheads a program for gathering resources to do holiday baskets for people, and it's not just for clients of Clara Martin, it's for people all over the area. She is predicting that there's going to be a much greater need this year. So she may be looking for extra resources for that. And I'm going to talk to that about our groups in on this side of the mountain as well. But just so that everybody's aware that that might be I think she said usually they do about 150 baskets, and she just is predicting that there's going to be a greater need this year.
Cool. And Ramsey, I know I haven't got to meet yet, but could you provide just a quick, I guess, update on the fact that the COC thing based on the Hartford report is happening? I don't know if there's what details to share, but
yeah, we don't have a ton of details, but I can give a little bit. So prior to COVID happening, actually, so the areas that have like White River has a lot of bigger incidents of noticeable homelessness because of being closer to services and accessible hotels, and people get put up by the state sometimes during cold weather. So there's been numbers of conversations about how do, over the years, how do we deal with homelessness? What do we do with housing? How do we get more housing, because there's never enough housing? So this is an ongoing conversation. So when COVID happened, it became a lot more kind of acute that we have to deal with this issue. So the city of Hartford and the city of Lebanon had both been working on, out of some different group meetings that the COC had pulled together. And the COC is a group, a bunch of different organizations that come together to talk about housing issues. Economic Services is there, the Agency of Human Services, the mental health agencies in the different areas, the couple different areas, and then a bunch of different housing organizations. And so in Bradford, Veterans Inc. is included, Clara Martin Center, and we, Capstone covers Bradford too, so we're representing Bradford. So we have decided that so Hartford and Lebanon came up with some different ideas of plans on how to tackle homelessness, and they have presented those plans to us. And we have gone through, we've had a couple of meetings and gone through the plans and tried to decide what would work for us as a region, and what we thought. We're trying to come up with a strategic plan on what the COC would do as kind of a recommendation in general for our region on what we feel should happen. And then we're hoping that out of that, a couple of the more smaller regions have their own plans. And so Mount Muscatney has a really good team that's working on it. Randolph has sort of started a team that includes medical and housing and various other agencies. So we're hoping sort of out of a lot of these mutual aid groups that maybe there's some people who are interested in continuing this work when the pandemic is over, to try to help work on some of the issues that have come to the forefront. And housing has always been an issue, and it just feels a little more acute now because maybe there's more awareness. But anyway, so we're going to work on coming up with a strategic plan on what kinds of housing is needed in each region, and sort of how to get there and what to offer. So we're hoping that maybe we'll be able to develop a team in the Bradford area as well, because it's being represented on the larger whole, but each of the different regions has different needs, different demographics, and different needs. So I mean, Bradford's one of the only place in Orange County where Economic Services has a place where they can house homeless people. It's not the most ideal place, but at least there's something. So.
Cool. Thanks, Ramsey.
Anyway,
Sorry for putting you on the spot.
I don't know if I
No, that's
rambled
perfect.
too much, but
No, that's perfect. I think it's good to be on people's radar that that's being discussed. Cool. Let's see. I didn't receive any type of update from Mike on Stagecoach, so I think they're probably. I just saw one go up Fairgrounds, so I know they're still doing the that was probably from the up to 5 miles outside of the route type pickup. But definitely, I would just encourage, if you hear of any transportation needs, to reach out to Stagecoach. Just want to go back to Nancy. Did you have anything that you wanted to share?
No, I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Sarah Pushy, did you have anything you want to share?
No, I don't have anything to share. I was more listening for what's
Cool.
going on.
All right, cool. Just in case. Marianne, I didn't ask you when we were on seniors. Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yes. No, not really. I mean, I did hear on Monday the governor was asked about when people might be able to visit nursing homes again, and supposedly there's going to be a plan put forth, and proposed plan presented to him sometime this week. And I know they used the word outside as part of that. And I see New Hampshire is starting outside or going to be starting outside visitation for people in facilities. No word on home visits for our agency, our case managers. And yeah, I think Carol covered it pretty well with the situation with adult days and senior centers. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. Brian, did you have anything you wanted to add from youth sports or anything? I know I think they said team sports are okay as long as it's Vermont teams, right?
Yeah, so it sounds like Connecticut North Valley Little League is going to be a go. There's a survey out to find out how many people would want to do Little League baseball and softball, and then t-ball and machine pitch. Sounds like t-ball and machine pitch will be instructional without games. So just, folks being coached. And then it's looking like if Bradford can get enough kids to field teams, that they'll actually have a shortened league season starting sometime in July. So that's, we have one more day in our survey. Hopefully a lot of people are going to be interested in doing that. And then we'll just have to kind of figure it all out. And then in terms of soccer, we're sending out registrations through the school to try to get soccer registrations for the fall, but clearly we have no idea what things are going to look like next week, let alone 2.5 months from now.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks. Marvin.
Yeah, Monique, I was just wondering, with your cadre of volunteers, have you identified some people in that group that really haven't been connected with some of the other volunteer opportunities, and is this a chance to tie the web here a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, we haven't really asked that, but I think so. Sonia had she needed help stuffing the ballots today, so I just sent an email to all the volunteers saying if you can sign up to help do it. So if any, I would say definitely encourage commissions if you have needs for board members or volunteers, just ongoing. I'm happy to just send it to that list. Or yeah, I didn't catch Nancy. I didn't catch the Japanese knotweed announcement until the last minute. Otherwise, even things like that, I'm happy to send to the list. So if people have events or something they need help for, I think it's definitely a good thing to try to do.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and it'll definitely, I'm gonna send out an announcement too for working the polls for the school budget vote and things like that. And we're starting to find more people who are going back to work, so they're not necessarily available, but I'm emailing them anyway. So as far as the whole, they're not necessarily being contacted by their team leads for specific projects, but they're still on the list unless they've unsubscribed as far as general volunteer opportunities. So
Monique, there will be another opportunity with the Japanese knotweed for sure, because it will come back.
okay,
So,
just send me a message if you can, when you have a date, and I'll send it out.
okay, the contact person is actually Jean Carlin or Sandy Price.
Okay, well, if you want to pass on to them to tell me. Cool. I guess that's it, unless anybody has anything else or questions for each other. Oh yeah, go ahead, Marvin.
I would just had a question for Ayla on the testing. I'm just curious, how much testing is? Oh, she left.
Oh yeah, she left. Michael or Ashleen might be able to answer.
Does anybody know how much testing is really going on around here? And I mean, Orange County is stuck on 9, so I mean, it doesn't look like anything's hitting. And I'm just wondering who's being tested, and are some places having regular employees being tested and things like that?
I feel like I saw a map that was more than 9 for Orange County, but shoot. I'll see if I can find that.
As far as Little Rivers, the last number I heard was approximately 20 to 25 a week were being tested. And that dropped down last week pretty considerably, which is why we're going to 3-day-a-week testing, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The state doesn't want us doing the outside testing, so we're only doing clients that are in-house or individuals that want to become clients of Little Rivers. What was the other? There was another piece to that question. Oh, testing for staff members. We have started a schedule of monthly testing for Little River staff.
I think numbers sound like they're similar at Gifford, maybe a little bit more, but I know they had the capacity to test 50 people a day, and I don't think they had ever reached that capacity. But the meeting that I usually find out about that week, we canceled it for this week, so I won't know till next week. But I think it's maybe has slowed down a bit too over there. I got tested a few weeks ago because I was sick, and I decided that I should just find out. And there was like not a ton of people. It was super easy, and it wasn't as horrible as my son said it was. So, and the return time was like 48 hours. So that was pretty good. And I was fine.
That's cool. Awesome. Let's see. I guess that's it. I guess if anybody, as far as reviewing the minutes, we just have to vote on those. So if people can stick around for that. Cool. Thanks, everybody. So I guess, do we have a motion to approve the minutes for 6/3?
Moved.
All right, cool. Let's say Justina moved and Bryce seconded.
Okay.
And then Carol, I don't know if maybe there hasn't been a select board meeting since you submitted your application. I don't think there has. I think it would be tonight. So maybe I'll bring it up tonight. Do you, Carol, you're muted, but does Danielle have your application?
She should have. If she doesn't, I'll make sure she has it tomorrow. We have the meeting tomorrow night.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Thanks.
And then I think the only other thing was Patty. I just wanted to check, did you get a signed copy of the minutes to do the bank account?
I have not.
Okay. Carol, if you would,
I was going to say, I know you had asked Danielle about it, but I have not received them yet.
Okay. Carol, if you wouldn't mind, and I'll go to the select board meeting tomorrow anyways for resilience, but if you could help me, maybe we need a copy of the April 23rd minutes signed and given to Patty from the select board meeting of when the select board basically ratified the commission itself.
I'll let Danny know in the morning.
Cool. And she has an email, so it's just a nudge.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I guess I don't have anything else. Gary, did you have anything in particular you wanted this like small group to know or anything? Yeah. Okay. All right. Just want to check. I think, let's see, I guess I did bring up with the volunteers, just something for this bigger group to know. So Marcy had shared that she was concerned with the 60 and over calls, was concerned with kind of where the data was coming from and how that was going to be shared with people. And so when that does happen, I'm cutting the spreadsheet down that I got from Sarah, which she just got from the state, down to just names and phone numbers, which is public information anyways. And any volunteer who's going to be making calls has to do the volunteer waiver, which includes a confidentiality clause. And we'll just remind people of that. So I just wanted everybody to be aware of that, just since it came up as a concern. I guess that's probably it. Unless anybody has anything else. Cool. All right.
Hey, Gary.
Yeah.
Can I just ask Gary a quick question?
Totally.
It looks like COVID cases are going up in a lot of states, and I noticed that our numbers have gone up a bit over the past few days. And so I'm wondering if there's any kind of information on what's going to happen if we see a resurgence.
I'm not sure, but the governor talked this morning, about if things went up rapidly, they would have to backtrack some. So they certainly are keeping very close track on what's beside us.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see that, we had kind of Memorial Day when we had a lot of people come into the state, and, 14 or so days later, we're seeing more cases. And I don't know if there's actually a link there, or if it's, renewed testing in certain places. Certainly there was a group in Winooski, but I'm just kind of wondering, if we're going to see something, because I have seen more out-of-state plates in Bradford than I would in a typical year, which is kind of interesting. And I get to travel around a little bit, and I'm seeing them everywhere else. I feel like Friday nights when I'm driving up the interstate, it's me, and I'm the only green plate headed up the interstate. So
I would agree with that in my travels around the state. But I've been looking at the numbers, and it looks like almost all the increases are either in Burlington, Winooski, or the area right around there, Colchester, which it's clear that there's a major problem with some tight family groups there. But the rest of the state doesn't seem to be increasing very rapidly.
yeah, it also sounds like there were some students coming into UVM last weekend. So
Well, there definitely is a concern about UVM and Champlain College and St. Mike's for that matter, because they're bringing in large number of students, and not all of them are taking the whole issue seriously. But I do know, at least with the university, they're working very closely with the city of Burlington to try to educate. But time will tell, I guess, on that one.
Sure.
I remember back when I was 20 or 21, what I might. I'm sure I would have done lots of things I shouldn't have.
We all did, Gary.
Yeah, thank you.
One other thing, I'll just send a note to the whole group. I forgot to mention while we're on the call, I got a bag of, I think, probably 50 masks from some kind of volunteer in Fairleigh. So if anybody knows of any needs for like businesses or anything trying to open up, just let me know.
Oh, Monique,
yeah,
you may have noticed a couple of weeks ago, New Hampshire put out a notice that they're selling masks at the liquor stores. It's a good excuse to go in and get a bottle without having, and say you just went for that.
Yeah.
But they sell boxes of 50 masks for $30.
Yeah, and Hannaford has them not just in the liquor store either, just in the general kind of shelves. I think they're by the like Ziploc bags or something.
I got a different excuse to get into the liquor store in Hannaford's.
Yeah.
I'll get one out.
Yeah. You can actually, I don't know if anybody's like, I've been actually just switching to like thinking about just buying some just like, differently fitting ones and stuff like that. You can get them pretty like anywhere from $5 to $20, but online now as well. But
I have some N95s, which I've had for a long time. I just find them uncomfortable for any length of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm using primarily the ones that they sell at the liquor stores, which are, much more comfortable masks like you see in the hospitals.
Yep. That's what I've been using at the space because I'm having to wear them all day long now, but cool. Well, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Have a good week.
Have a good week.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Thanks.